3 million members searching, SingleMuslim.com proudly sponsors Single Muslim Live.
Salam and welcome to the Single Muslim Live, sponsored by SingleMuslim.com with me, Nazia Khatun. We're live here on Sky 752 and across Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Wherever you're watching, a very warm welcome, and you too can join in today's discussion and get advice by simply calling through to the studio on 01924231083. And remember, standard rates apply, so please make sure you get the bill payer's permission before you call in, or why not share your thoughts with us on WhatsApp on 079-507-97017. Today's guest is Matthew Robinson, and the topic is a very interesting one: reverts finding love, peace, and forgiveness. I'm so honored to have Matthew on our show today. And before we start, today is his birthday, so he's taken time out to do this talk with us. So Matthew, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you so much, and happy birthday. Have you got anything special for today?
My wife Farah's making me a carrot cake for my birthday, and that is the highlight of my day.
Oh, bless you. No, honestly, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today. I'm really actually excited to go through this interview with you and just get an idea of your journey, basically. But before we start, tell us a bit about yourself and what you do.
Okay, well, I run a film company called Migration Films, and what I do is I'm basically a humanitarian filmmaker. So that involves me filming some events in the UK, but most of it is events around the world, whether it's delivering of aid, places like Yemen, Iraq, Palestine, Bangladesh, to like the Palestine Half Marathon, which I took part in, Rickshaw Challenge, Pakistan, that kind of thing. Yeah, that's pretty much what I do. I'm an artist. I paint for fun, not for a career. I don't know if I could do that as a career. It's just a great creative release for me, painting. But yeah.
Your journey has been very, very adventurous with the travel, with the filmmaking, and the charities that you work for. And it's an insight to see who you were before and where you are. And I know you on a personal level because where did we go? Was it Morocco?
It was Marrakesh first. I was filming you guys doing the run, and that was what inspired me to sign up to run the Palestine Half Marathon, was the Marrakesh one.
It's crazy how people meet and what we can do to inspire other people as well. I know a little bit about your story. So can you just give us a little background of your journey into Islam? What was it like when you took the Shahada, and what inspired you actually to do the...
You want the abridged version, yeah? Okay, basically, I come from a very loving family, Christian upbringing, Church of England. Used to go to Sunday school every Sunday, and I couldn't get my head around the fact that Jesus was God's only son. I thought, hang on, that doesn't make sense. We're all creations of God. Doesn't really, doesn't add up. And I felt that I wanted to be able to talk to God directly. And I don't know, it just, when I was 13 years old, I went to Church of England secondary school. It was actually founded by the Knights Templar, ironically, in 1300 and something, in Bristol. And a new vicar took over in the village I grew up in, just outside of Bristol, and he came to the house and I said, "How's your school?" And I said, "Well, it's very nice. Some of my friends' vicars come and take a Monday morning religious assembly." He's like, "Oh, I'd like to do that. What do I need to do?" And of course, I was only 13, and what I meant to say was, give a parable, inject some humor because it's teenagers. But I was 13, and I said, "Just be funny." And he turned around and was like, "How dare you take my work in vain? How dare you take the Lord's name in vain? Who do you think you are?" This is in front of my parents. My parents were like, "What?" I turned my back on organised religion. at the age of 13. I was like, do you know what? If you represent that, God, I don't, or religion, I don't want a part of it. But I still, you know, I looked at Druidism, I looked at Hinduism, I looked at Wiccan, I looked at all sorts of things, yeah. But I knew there was an energy and a power and a God, a higher power and an energy. Well, to cut a long story short, but my mum, right, she's a great judge of character, and she was always supportive of Yasser Arafat and the Palestinians, and said, you know, I don't agree with what's happening in Palestine. I think it's terrible, you know, how the Palestinians are being treated. And she's a very good judge of character. So, I mean, okay, fast forward 10 years. I was 23 years old, doing my media course in Bath, and one of the questions was the representation of Islam in the British media. So that question jumped off the page at me, because my parents, for their faults, are Telegraph readers, unfortunately. But basically, in the Telegraph, it would say Israeli settlers, farmers, civilians, Palestinian fundamentalists, extremists, terrorists. And I can remember that disparity of language, yet my mum was like, well, these poor people are being persecuted. And so that's what jumps off the page at me. And at the age of 23, I went down to the mosque in Bath. I thought, I'm going to find out more about this. Yeah, shaved head, eyebrow pierced, Bristol Rovers shirt on. I think they thought I was going to go and cause some damage there. But the guy invited me in, and we sat down and we talked for 2 hours, just on the basics of the Quran. You know, one guy was like telling him about the American foreign policy, another brother was like, we must talk about the Zionist conspiracy theory, and the Imam was like, no, we're just going to talk about the basics of Islam, just Islam, forget politics. And I sat down and listened, and I left there a couple of hours later, and I was like, do you know what? That's a logical, loving, forward-thinking set of guidelines, scientific set of guidelines to lead your life by, if you need it. And I would pick Islam over Christian. I'd pick Islam if I had to pick a religion. I don't need it. I'm fine. But if I had to, that's what I'd pick. And then 4 years later, I met my now ex-wife in London, wanted to marry her, and she said, you need to convert to Islam in Pakistan. I was like, okay, sounds interesting. I'm up for that. And so went to the Faisal Mosque, flew to Islamabad. That was 2001, June 2001. I took the Shahada in the Faisal Mosque, Islamabad. That incredible building with the 4 minarets on the corners, amazing bit of architecture. Guy called Professor Dr. Anis Ahmad did the conversion or reversion, however you want to name it. And I asked him, what do I need to do to become a good Muslim? And he said, listen, this could be quite controversial, so please excuse me, I hope not to offend anyone, but he said, don't listen to mullahs, don't listen to men with hats and beards who tell you this and tell you that. Read the Quran and talk to God. It's your deal with God. It's got nothing to do with anyone else. But read the Quran. And alhamdulillah, that was amazing. You know? And funnily enough, I met Mufti Menk last year in a charitable organisation, and I asked him the same question. I said, I asked this 20 years ago. What do you think it takes to be a good Muslim? And he said, be grateful to God for everything and be kind to all of God's creations. That's it. So yeah, that's how I became a Muslim.
I love that. That is so inspirational in terms of what you heard around you in terms of the media. And where you were also working in media, I guess, it was a huge conflict of interest in terms of what you were hearing and actually come to an understanding for yourself. And your journey has been a long one. My next question to you is, I guess, what was the hardest thing about, as we call it, reverting or coming into the religion for yourself? What was the hardest thing?
I think at the time I was 28 when I became Muslim. And I think one of the hardest things was to detach, because I was, I worked in film and TV. Yeah. And my lifestyle up until that point was drinks after work, sometimes drinks at lunchtime. The British TV typical culture. So to turn my back to stop that was quite difficult. And I did have difficulties with stopping some of that lifestyle over the years. There were times when, I felt really far away from Allah. And there were times when I felt closer. And I'll be honest, the sad thing is when I after I took Shahada, I got married, had a child, and then another child, and I was working in film and TV, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't live my life as I do today, and that had an impact on my marriage. In fact, a devastating impact, with an impact that we couldn't come back from, sadly. And it wasn't until 2014, I can remember, I've been working on, what had I been working on? Release the Hounds, ITV2. Now, this TV show was just like, so they go and shoot scary stuff. It's a horror game show, yeah? They shoot scary stuff, but it's not scary because it's just like, they film it, it's just footage of something happening. So I have to make it scary. And to make it scary, I'd have to do sound design and timing and make sure everything was scary. But to do that, I had to put myself in a dark place, a scary place, and really think. I had to put myself into a place I didn't want to be, mentally, and emotionally. And so I was talking to. We moved house. It was in Kingston upon Thames, and my middle son was like, "Daddy, take me to the mosque, please." So I took him to the mosque, and I met a brother there called Steve Brador, who works for an organization called Islam 21C. He works for them. He's a wonderful brother, Revet brother. He taught me how to pray. All those years I didn't, I loved the concept of Islam. I loved the idea of it. I loved the belonging, the feeling of belonging. I loved my now ex-wife's family. It was a beautiful thing to be part of, but I didn't make the effort to really search out how to learn more about my religion and how to understand it. And it was in 2014 that journey truly started at Kingston Mosque. And that was when, for me, one of the hardest things, actually, going back to your question, one of the hardest things of reverting.
Matthew?
Yeah?
I want you to hold that right there, because we're going to go on break in literally 30 seconds. Okay. I just asked Matthew, what was the hardest thing about coming into Islam? And please make sure you come and join us in about 20 seconds after that advert here. And I would love to hear from you as well. So please make sure you send us your questions on 0750797017. I look forward to speaking to you and Matthew very shortly.
With 3 million members searching, SingleMuslim.com proudly sponsors Single Muslim Live. With 3 million members searching, SingleMuslim.com proudly sponsors Single Muslim Live.
Thank you for coming back and joining us. And I want to go straight to Matthew. The topic is about reverts finding love, peace, and forgiveness. Matthew, sorry, I interrupted you. What was the hardest thing about coming into the religion for yourself?
Okay, as I said before the break, one of the hardest things was leaving that lifestyle behind that I grew up with and was used to, and I'd only ever known that kind of lifestyle. And it was a new set of rules, principles that I had to come to learn and understand. And I think that journey will never stop. Never stop learning more and more about Islam. And I think one of the hardest things personally was getting to a point where I'd been Muslim for 13 years before I truly started to practice my religion. And I still, Qadar Allah, Allah has his plan. And, my time was the right time for me to do whatever I'm doing. That's what I believe. I believe Allah has His plan, and once I started to learn more about Islam in 2014, and then I'd had enough of working on these awful TV programs. Sorry, but they are awful. I spoke to my friend Steve Brudder at Kingston Mosque, and he said that a charity was looking for a videographer. So I became a videographer at Muntada 8, who are based in Parsons Green in West London. And that was where I really started my spiritual growth, and my understanding and practicing of Islam truly blossomed at that point, basically. But yeah, I think that was the hardest thing. One of the hardest things was being Muslim for so long and not actually practicing my religion properly.
Love it. What I love about you, Matt. You're just so sincere, and there is so much. You're just real with your information that when I speak to you, and again, like leaving your lifestyle behind that you've been used to and growing up with, is something we all struggle with. Even as a born Muslim, there are things that I have to discipline myself not to do on a daily basis, where I know it's not going to be beneficial to myself, like bad habits. So we need to do that. And I feel like I learned so much from Rebirths. They make me feel like I'm not doing enough being a born Muslim. So people like you inspire me as well. So it's incredible. It's very inspiring. We have a question, so I'm going to take this. So really appreciate everybody who takes the time out to message us or text us. So Salam, thank you, Nazia and Matt Robinson. Matthew, he corrected himself because only your mom calls you Matthew, right? For today's show, my question is, have you tried Single Muslim app? And his other question is, are you still a Muslim now? Yes, he's still a Muslim now.
Okay. Right. The first part of the question, no, I haven't tried Single Muslim. The second part is, yes, I am Muslim, and I will be Muslim till I die and beyond, inshallah. I find that, okay, my birth name is Matthew Robinson. I was given a name, Muhammad Mateen, by my now deceased ex-father-in-law. And I thought for how much, I was until 2017 when I was in Bangladesh with Penny Appeal, actually. Where I went to this mosque in Netrokona in the north of the country, and I went to pray Maghrib, and the guy asked me my name, and I said, I'm Muhammad Mateen. He said, no, you can't have the Prophet ﷺ's name and one of the 99 names of Allah. It has to be Abdul Mateen. So then, since 2017, it's Muhammad Abdul Mateen. So yeah, I'm still Muslim, and I try my best to live the best Muslim life I can. Does that make sense?
Well, I hope that answers your question, Mr. Caller or Mrs. Caller. So can you just repeat for this caller, where did you take your Shahada as a Muslim?
Okay, I took the Shahada in the Faisal Mosque in Islamabad, Pakistan, on the 1st of July, 2001. Dr. Professor Ali Ahmad reverted me.
It's crazy, isn't it? That is the pinpoint, how you remember the dates, the month, and it's just clear as rainbow as yesterday. What place to do it as well, isn't it, in Islamabad? Wow.
Yeah, no, I know. And he's head of Islamic studies as well, the guy who reverted me. So we're getting a lot of questions today. Wow, you're very popular, Matt. Okay, the second question is, okay, I'm going to come back to these questions, so I hope you're still watching us, because I'm going to ask these questions. Have you had any backlash from your friends and family for reversing when you did? I've been really lucky, not really. My family have been wonderful, understanding, I got divorced in 2018, and I was blessed last year to get married again, to get remarried, alhamdulillah. My family are just so accepting, understanding. Friends-wise, nobody's really. I mean, I've been questioned about certain things, and people say, "Oh, well, don't you think that Islam is a misogynistic religion?" I'm like, no, it's quite the opposite. it's the usual thing about. I haven't had any backlash really. Actually, apart from Facebook last year, one guy started saying, "Oh, you're someone I've known for like 25 years started saying, I think he must have had some personal issues himself, but he was basically saying, "Oh, your religion's full of hate. You kill people," and I was like, "Okay, block, goodbye." But that's about it really. I've been really lucky. Yeah, I've been blessed really on that front.
Nice. Thank you for sharing that. Please keep giving your calling in or sending your messages in. We love to hear from you. My next part of the this show is talking a bit about your, I guess, love life. I mean, this is what the show is, a single Muslim. What was life like when it came to finding someone to marry in the Muslim community after you took the Shahada?
Okay, well, obviously, I took the Shahada because I wanted to get married. That was initially what happened in 2001. Then, obviously, that all fell apart eventually, and I was divorced in 2018. And I truly believed that I would be on my own for the rest of my life. I'm turned 48 today, and I thought, I was 47. Yeah, it was just over a year ago. I was like, I'd been on my own for 18 months or longer, and I was happy with that. I was like, do you know what? Qadar, whatever Allah's plan is for me, great. I ain't looking. I don't want to look. After everything I've been through, and also, it takes two to tango. When a relationship breaks down, it takes two people. So the upset, I'd call someone else as well. I didn't want to inflict that on anyone else. I thought, I'll just try and do Allah's bidding. And then I met a friend, and it was like an instant, like, wow. And this person was someone that I'd known professionally for some time, an artist. Nothing but respect, always absolutely bounded, respectful communication. Never thought. And then we met, and I happened to move house actually, and it was that point I was like, wow. And it was okay. How do I put this? Preordained, part of Qadar, part of Allah's plan. But I just realised that this person was someone that I knew I could grow with and would help me with my deen, with my akira, with the afterlife, and someone I could lead a good life in this dunya with. And alhamdulillah, we've been married. Got married on the 30th of August last year, and yeah, and our kind of like delayed honeymoon is going to be doing the K2 base camp trek. That sounds a bit twisted, I know, because it's quite hard, but that's our kind of belated honeymoon.
I love that. So one of the questions I just had was it hard to date a Muslim woman as a weaver? And if you just tuned in, and what Matthew just said was he converted to Islam to get married to this lady. And one door opens, another door closes in every aspect. And Matthew just explained, some of the things that he's gone through, taking the Shahada, and even in marriage, we win some, we lose some. And that's the game of life, I guess, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and you give people hope as well. And I'm glad that I'm speaking to somebody from a different background and you being a man. So it's helpful to speak to the brothers out there as well, because we spoke a lot about divorce on my previous shows as well, and it's something that the community is struggling with, finding love after divorce. And then I guess as well, being a weaver, has it been hard for you finding love again, Matthew? This is the real question. How long did it take?
How long did it take? As I said, it was, let me work this out, April, it was 18 months, it's been around about 18 months. And I wasn't looking. It wasn't at all. And I think from my own previous experiences, I was quite pessimistic. I felt quite down about stuff. carried a
Matthew,
lot of guilt as well.
I'm gonna have
I
to
think.
again. I'm sorry. As soon as we come to the juicy part, we have to go on break. We are going to come back to that. If you guys are listening, please make sure you message us on 07950797017. Maybe share us your story. Are you a reaver? Have you found love? What's your story? We would love to hear from you. So please make sure you tune back in, and we'll see you very, very shortly.
With 3 million members searching, SingleMuslim.com proudly sponsors Single Muslim Live. With 3 million members searching, SingleMuslim.com proudly sponsors Single Muslim Live.
Thank you so much for coming back. And we have got so many questions, but before I take any of them, I want to come back to Matthew. Matthew, the question before we went on break was it hard finding love again after your first marriage?
But actually, it wasn't. No, it wasn't at all, because I had made my mind up that I didn't want to look, and I was like, in fact, I said to myself, if Allah places someone in front of me, and that's the right person, then alhamdulillah, and that's exactly what happened. So, if anybody is divorced or going through divorce or struggling with these kind of things, it's like there is hope. There is hope, especially if you stick to your deen and you pray, you play istikhara and keep it halal. Trust me, keep it halal, and things will happen. God's plan will happen, because the worst thing you can do is rush into something, force yourself into something, go on your nafs and think, be driven by your mind and your own will rather than God's will, because at the end of the day, God's will is the best. And that's what I did. I stepped back, and God presented Farah, alhamdulillah. I've never been happier.
And thank you. And I think when I see you or when I hear you, this is the key thing. You give other people hope. And it's when we see other people have gone through a similar journey to ourselves, or when we're going through hardship, we don't want to feel isolated or alone in it. So thank you so much for sharing that. And hello, wifey out there as well. I'm sure she's watching us, you in particular, Matthew. So there's some questions there. Again, thank you so much. I appreciate every single one of you who take the time out to message or to live. Matthew, you're such an inspiration. My question to you is, do you have children? And if so, will you raise them Muslim?
Okay. Yeah, tricky one, this. I have 4 children. I have a daughter who's 19 who lives independently in London. I have 3 boys who live in Morocco with their mum, so they have an Islamic upbringing. And I have 3 stepchildren who, all the children across the board, collectively have an Islamic upbringing, yes. Yeah.
Next question. It's good, alhamdulillah, that Matthew has all these stories and memories that he remembers. Alhamdulillah. Yes, definitely. Another question. Okay. What qualities would you suggest for the Muslim brothers that they should look out for when looking for a partner? What are the qualities that they should look out for? I like this question, actually. It's really interesting from a man's perspective. So go for it, Matt.
What should they look out for? Honesty. Number one. Yeah. Honesty, yeah. Humility. So try not to find someone with a massive ego if you can help it. Honesty, humility, kindness, humor. You've got to have a bit of humor, and somebody who's on their deen. I don't know. That's what I'd say.
I love that. So I hope that answered your question to the person who texted us. And I think it is very, very important before, like you said, people are rushing in so quickly in marriage. And as quickly as they rush in, it's rushing out of that marriage. And it leaves people very confused and conflicted, especially in modern day society where all we're doing is looking for instant gratification. And I think sometimes as well, because we're following what everybody else is doing, we want to be there at the front line. And that can be quite a bad hindrance to people who are not emotionally ready to get married. So what Matthew said was look for humility, honesty, and a bit of humor, somebody who's kind and generous. It's not that hard, you know. There are people out there who have all these qualities. But actually, in the same breath, we must become that as well. Isn't it not important for us to honor those values before we start looking for that in other people as well?
Very important.
Yeah. Love it. Yeah. I want to quickly move on. Let's speak a little bit about mental health. We don't really raise this topic about reverts who may struggle with mental health. You know, it's not easy going from an extreme lifestyle like you did, going out, doing all the things that you did in a lifestyle that wasn't Muslim, you know, in the Islamic framework. What did you struggle with maybe at the time? And how do you deal with your mental health?
I think at the time, one of the biggest issues I had was I was so caught up in my life and in the dunya that I was quite short-sighted with a lot of things. So I think it's hard to say really. I think due to the lack of understanding, not full understanding, but the lack of understanding of Islam, and yet I was saying I'm Muslim, and yet I was still at times involved with certain Western social behaviours, you know, and that was, you know, that was difficult to come to terms with, to fix in my head, to understand. I think that one of the things for me has also been, I mean, listen, I've never felt more welcome anywhere in the world. Everywhere I go, you know, I feel made so welcome by the Muslim community, by the Ummah. But at the same time, there have been quite a few occasions of where certain cult individuals in certain cultures behave a certain way towards me or treat me a certain way, and that's been difficult. That's been hard to come to terms with. I think for me, one of the best ways to deal with any kind of anxiety, stress, depression, because, you know, these are all, I think anyone who says they don't suffer from any of these things is not telling the truth. I think we all, to varying degrees, suffer with some form of, you know, at some time in our lives, some form of mental stress or mental illness of varying degrees. For me, what I do, I mean, for me, the greatest release of all is prayer, in the sense of, you know, I will pray, and when I pray Fajr, I will turn my will, and, you know, I've got my own will, what I want, ideas in my head, yeah, of how I want things to go, how I want my life to be. But the biggest release for me is to pray to Allah in the morning and turn my will and my life over to Him, and truly trust that His plan is the one for me. You know, that's saying tying a camel before you pray. You got to take action. You got to live your life. You got to do the things you need to do, but be open, and that actually is the biggest pressure release valve for a lot of the stress and anxiety that I would go through, is to do that, to surrender to Allah, you know, and that Islam, submission, isn't it, at the end of the day. So
yeah, I love that. It's just your wisdom and what you've learned. You've got so much more to offer to the world and everything. Talk to me a little bit about some of the charity work, some of the auctions that you're doing, because you're part of healing yourself as well. You know, it's important that we speak about, and the advice we can give to people that are watching us in terms of when it comes to coping with mental health. There are a lot of things that you're doing at the moment, Matthew. So your auction, your charity work.
yeah. Well, I mean, the greatest impact on my life of anything has been this charity work that I've done. You know, for years and years and years and years, I tried. You know, I reached the top of my tree on light entertainment, television, and film. You know, but that left me, you know, left my bank balance full, but left my heart empty, and without purpose. And what I do now, this charity work. So I started off just being a videographer and filmmaking, and now I get involved with, well, depending on what the job is. If it's just if it's filming aid delivery, then I film aid delivery. But if it's a challenge, you know, I did the Palestine half marathon. I trained for that, ran that with you, Nazia, and with Rokeya and Salma and Shakira.
Hey.
And then obviously then I did the Pakistan Rickshaw Challenge with Muslim Charity, and that was another challenge. So I took part in that. So it kind of took it to another level for me. It was getting involved and fundraising as well. So not just getting rewards of the financial rewards of like trading services, time, money for time and services. It was took it to another level for me spiritually. And then the latest trip, well, which is coming up in August, providing the Pakistan gets taken off the red list, is K2 Base Camp Trek with Muslim Charity. And I'll be doing this with Farah, with my wife, Farah Visual Arts on Instagram, Farah Subhan, artist, Islamic pop artist. We will be flying to Skardu, Islamabad, then Skardu, and then taking on a 12, 13-day trek to the K2 Base Camp, up to a height of 5,000 meters. Coming back, going over a thing called Gondagora La, which is like 6,000 meter high pass. And then we'll be going to the Husha Valley School, Husha Village School, where Farah will be doing an art therapy workshop for the children there. So we're raising funds for that. Our target's at £5,000. And we're doing a Ramadan art auction, which actually there's 2 days left to run.
Yes.
Day and a half. So we're auctioning the work of Daria Rassit, of Hand of Aisha, of Usma Rani, of please forgive me if I forget anyone's name. Actually, I'm gonna have to get my phone out. Do you mind if I just reel the names off quickly?
Yeah, where can they go on bid for the auctions as well?
Yeah, okay. The place to go, it's if you go to muslimcharity.org.uk/auction. That's simple. So we've got work from Aisha Ahmed, Hand of Aisha, Ifa Ali, Usma Rani, Daria Rassit, Nagahan Seymour, Farah Morsaheb, Rashida Osman, and Sawat Abbas. And myself. Yeah, and Farah. So we need to, the auction is closing at 7 p.m. tomorrow. We would like there to be more bids, because obviously all funds raised, 100%, goes to Children of the World campaign, which what that does is that for this particular fundraising, a portion of it is going to go to provide water heaters in the Husha village. Now, this is a place in winter, it goes down to minus 25 degrees centigrade. People can't wash, the water's frozen. So they're providing water heaters to give, especially women and young girls, the opportunity for personal hygiene, for wudu, for prayer, just to make life bearable, and also for the Husha Valley School and for street children in Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Kenya. So yeah, that's what it's in aid of.
I've already bid it, so if you guys are listening, there's a month of giving. Make sure you go and bid. Everything's going to a good cause. We will be going on a break shortly and coming to our last segment of the show. So this is your last chance to send us any questions or share your stories with myself and Matt. So we shall see you very, very shortly. And please stay tuned and bye. See you soon.
With 3 million members searching, SingleMuslim.com proudly sponsors Single Muslim Live. With 3 million members searching, SingleMuslim.com proudly sponsors Single Muslim Live.
Welcome back. And today's topic is about reverts, finding peace, love, and forgiveness. We're in the last section of our show here, and it's going so quick. So please make sure you message us on 079-5079-7017. Matthew, we have one question here. It's an interesting question, actually, from the viewer. What qualities should we avoid when it comes to seeking a partner? To avoid.
Narcissism. Avoid like the plague. But it's quite hard to tell. People are very judgmental people. I mean, listen, we all know money's important, but someone who's obsessed by money, avoid that. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I can only talk from my personal experience. I don't know if this is the right answer. I can only tell you what I feel. So just go in with an open heart. Yeah, open heart, open mind. Be honest, and if you keep an open mind, open heart, and open eyes, then inshallah, if there's a red flag to be seen, Allah will get it waved strongly in your face. So.
You know, we speak a lot about toxic relationships from a female's perspective, and it's mostly projected onto men. Not projected, but we see it spoken about a lot. So it's important that we get a male perspective on what to avoid in females. There are toxic females out and about as well. And narcissism is a very important word that we understand what it is. And when something doesn't feel right for us, always make sure you question it. Not question it can actually get a lot of us into trouble when it comes to marriage and getting to know somebody. So thank you for asking that question to the viewer. We have a very, very lovely message here, a question actually. Do you have any tips for Muslim women who are dating reverts? Take your time.
Any tips for Muslim women who are dating reverts? Well, you shouldn't be dating unless it's halal. So, just try to help educate the brother. I don't know. I don't know what to say really. That's a tough one. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know what to say to that one.
Well, listen, you don't need to have the answer because if it's not something you know,
I would say it should be the same to however you date anybody, really. There's my answer. Treat them the same as if anyone from.
I think my input on this is if you're a Muslim woman dating a revert, is be very patient with them because they're still learning about the religion. And I'm always speaking from experience of my sister being married to a revert as well. And it's for our sisters is to help that person go through the journey with them so they don't feel alone and isolated. So I hope that answers your question some way. Matthew, I wanted to move on to asking you something about your own journey. What's the best thing that you've learned about yourself in your highs and your lows throughout the last 20 years or since you've been on your Islamic journey?
Wow. About myself or about Islam? Or one of the best things I've learned about me?
You, about yourself in this journey.
Oh, that's so tough. That's such a tough question. I've learned that I have an open heart. I'm not as bad as I used to think I was. Not as bad a person as I used to think I was. That's such a tough question, Nazia.
I know, but I love that we just said that it's just so pure and so sincere. We humans, we always think we're worse than we actually are, and you to actually acknowledge that is your answer. Your first answer is always going to be the best answer to your growth. And yeah, I love that. Thank you, Matt. We have more questions. Oh wow! 1 second, I'm getting there. Last question for Nazia Khatun to discuss today for me. I love this. What is a good way to ask a lady for her number? Should I give her a compliment first and ask respectfully? Okay. I have to answer this very quickly. What is a good way to ask a lady for her number? Just be direct and maybe ask her, but also take the hint if she doesn't want to communicate with you, maybe as well. Complimenting a woman is always a very, very good start, a very charming effect as well. We females love compliments, and ask her respectfully. Yes, always ask a woman out respectfully on a coffee halal date. That is it. Meeting. We call it a meeting, not date.
Keep it halal.
Okay. Thank you so much for the questions. What advice would you give to fellow weavers in general, Matthew, and then when it comes to finding love?
Okay. I would say get involved with your local. It's hard. This is hard. These are hard times in coronavirus, you know, because you can't just walk into a mosque. You have to book yourself in. Do you know what I mean? So to walk into a mosque, to be immersed in your local mosque community, it's so much harder at the moment. Inshallah, that will change soon. But what I would say is when things do go back to normal, just spend time in your local mosque, speak to brothers, find out if there are any courses, any evening courses, any classes, Arabic classes. Also, there's great organisations as well. One such as IERA, which is very good for new Muslims. Yeah, I would say ask people that you know if there are any support groups for new Muslims. And generally speaking, for reverts generally. Yeah, just be there for each other, support each other, you know. Don't be afraid to reach out, you know.
Yeah. You raised something really, really important. I forget the times we're living in. People don't have access to this community to go in and walk in freely to a mosque like we did before the whole pandemic. So I think people need to really dig deeper now, and we need to reach out more to the Weaver brothers and sisters and make sure that they're in a safe place. But thank you for sharing that. That's really important to remember, to feel part of the community. And I mean, just to wrap it up and everything, what advice would you give to Weavers when it comes to finding love? Because I guess that's going to be a very hard journey when you're trying to find yourself in the religion and then also love at the same time. What advice would you give to people going through this journey themselves?
Okay, what advice would I give? I would say it depends on your intention. You know, some people just want to get married to complete their deen. Some people are a little more cautious. If you feel that that's what you want to do and you want to have an introduction, and do it the halal way. Ask people at the mosque or people in your community if they know of anyone who's looking to get married. But just be careful, you know, just take your time. And if if you've met someone you like, then do it properly, you know. Go and speak to the meher or the dad or brother and just do it properly. There's no need to rush anything. Trust me, there's no need. Just take your time and yeah, that's it.
No, I love that. See, it's nice to hear it from somebody you have a lot of years
I do.
of experience. Matthew's 48 today.
I am.
Time of experience.
I feel like 148 right now.
You don't look 48 at all.
Oh, bless you. There's one last thing I did want to say, again, is the auction, charity auction. Sorry, I'm going to plug that shamelessly. There's 7 p.m. tomorrow, muslimcharity.org.uk/auction. Go and bid. There's some banging works of art on there. So you'll be giving Sadaqah Jariyah to these children around the world, yeah? And you'll be walking away with an amazing work of art at a fraction of the cost to get it in a gallery. No brainer. Do it. And also, when my book comes out next year, look out for that. Travels of a Humanitarian Filmmaker.
When is that coming out? Next year?
Well, yeah, hopefully. It's written. I just went into it's going to be out on Audible. It depends how long it takes to go through all the paperwork and the process, but it'll be out on Audible by the end of the year, and inshallah print sometime next year. But yeah, it's about my travels with the different charities. So
I'll be the first person to buy that book, so it'll be interesting. It'll be very interesting. Before we go, all right, let's say maybe 3 words. 3 words. What's been the highlight of your journey so far?
The highlight.
Not
3 words. Oh God! Do you know what? When I'm filmmaking or I'm doing corporate videos or whatever, I ask people to do this very same thing, and I think it's so easy. I'm like, yeah, just say 3 words that sums us up, and now you're turning it on me. Blimey. Okay. 3 words that sums up my journey: hope, faith, love.
Faith and
Love.
love.
Mm-hmm.
Hope, faith, love. These
Because
are the
nothing's worth anything without love.
3 things we're going to take away from speaking to Matthew today. Honestly, Matthew, time has flown by. If you have missed the show, I'm sure you can find it on repeat on YouTube. Please make sure you take the time to actually watch this. It's been a joy talking to you, Matthew, today. But just to summarize, we have been talking about Revert's finding love, peace, and forgiveness. We had Matthew talking to us about his journey right from the time when he took his Shahada, the obstacles that he faced, overcoming the challenges as a Revert, finding love, going through divorce, overcoming mental obstacles, I guess, and then finding love again. We spoke a lot about what advice we can give to reverts and how to actually find love for reverts as well. So everything has been so wonderfully given to us today by Matthew. Matthew, what are you doing for your birthday today? Very quickly before we come off air.
Sorry, what was that?
For your birthday.
Well, I'm about to go to Asda to buy some ingredients because Farah's going to bake me a
Yay!
carrot cake.
Good
Carrot
stuff.
cakes. Carrot cakes are my favourite.
So much to my guests. Thank you for joining us, and from me, Naza Khatun, along with the whole team at British Muslim TV. Thank you for watching us, and assalamu alaikum.
With 3 million members searching, SingleMuslim.com proudly sponsors Single Muslim Live.